Please, I beg of you, gather together all 12 rings.
Fire Emblem has always been one of those series that I've always really held really close to my heart and have really adored. Now, I will say, from a critical standpoint, not every game is equal, and not every game is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Some are definitely better than others. And the most recent release of Fire Emblem Three Houses prior to Engage was that masterpiece class, just masterpiece level of storytelling with a amazing gameplay loop that was addictive and fun that really just had me coming back to play over and over. At this point, I've put over 1,000 hours into Fire Emblem Three Houses, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. Now, will Engage stand up to that? Well, the previews tell me probably not, but it could definitely get close. What's going on, guys? I'm Dom from The Game Losers, and today we're looking at Metacritic. Currently, Fire Emblem Engage is standing at a pretty solid 82. Not quite close to the 89 of Fire Emblem Three Houses, but so far we have 58 critic reviews, and we're going to take a look at those today. We're going to look at some that have given it 100, some right in the middle, and some of the lower reviews, and I'm going to kind of give you my opinions based on previews and things I've seen on all three of those categories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Metacritic. Currently, like I said, Metacritic is standing at a 82 right now, as you guys see right over there. There it is. You guys see the 82 on screen right now. So we're currently at an 82 overall, and we have 58 critic reviews currently. And we have a lot of different reviews that kind of, they're just kind of all over the place. We have some at 100, and if we look at the bottom of the barrel here, we have some that have given it a 50, and some notable sites too, like Games Radar and VGC, as well as, you know, Twinfinite, GameSpot giving it a 7 out of 10, giving it a 70. We have some of the middle ones, and then we have some really high reviews here. So we're going to take a look. We'll start at the top. We'll go to the bottom, and then we'll finish at the middle. I think that's a good mix of looking at one of the better ones, seeing what they said, looking at the bottom, seeing what they said, and looking right in the middle to see if we can get a midpoint between the two. Now, as I said earlier too, Fire Emblem Three Houses, if you want a point of reference, ended at 102 critic reviews at an 89. And the main reason here is Fire Emblem Three Houses really revitalized the series, really put it on the main stage being on the Nintendo Switch, and it did something different that it's never done in the series before, telling branching stories that were very unique to each other and were very, very encapsulated and very, very good. So, will Fire Emblem Engage live up to that? Well, the immediate reviews are telling me no, but let's see what they said regardless. So, like I said, we're going to start at the top here. So, we have 3 that gave it a perfect 100. Dexerto, not familiar with, digitally downloaded, and Silicon Era. Based on the 3 here, we'll start with digitally downloaded. So, at 100, digitally downloaded here said, "The only thing that I would change in Fire Emblem Engage is the design of the protagonist." Yeah, we know Toothpaste-chan. Okay, her combination of red and blue does come across as excessively garish to me. Even within the context of a bright and colorful game, I'd keep her character, which is great, but just give her green twin-tailed hair or something more of that nature. That's it, though. That's the only change that I'd make. In every other way, Fire Emblem Engage is everything I love about Fire Emblem, bundled up in a way that does justice to both the classics that got me into the series and the production values of the modern gaming. Brilliant. All right, so that's the opinion of digitally downloaded. Essentially, they're just saying, hey, Toothpaste-chan was a little too much, and honestly, it is a little bit much for me too. I've seen a lot of opinions out there really praise the game for how it looks visually, and, you know, I also think it looks very visually stunning. And, you know, in comparison to Three Houses, which was a little bit more muddied, I think the artistic choice of Three Houses is something that I preference, and I think the artistic symmetry between all the characters in Three Houses is something that is preferential to me as personally. I think this specific game goes more for that Genshin Impact type look, more mobile game type look, which is completely okay. Very bright and colorful. But I also agree that I would have loved to see a more metal down protagonist, and I think the color scheme there is a little a little crazy. If we think about a game like Fire Emblem Warriors, right? Like the original Fire Emblem Warriors, your main protagonist was just blonde hair, right? You have male and female, the sister and brother, just blonde hair character. I think a more easier character on the eyes like Byleth was, I think would have been preferential here as well. So good review from Digitally Downloaded there. So let's look at something that is at the bottom here. So we have Games Radar, VGC, and Inverse. Let's take a look at what Games Radar here has to say, because they give it a 50, so they're right at the bottom. And we'll open the full review here too, just in case. They said here, Fire Emblem Engage resurrects the weapon triangle to great effect, making the turn-based combat feel like a game of death and dares, while an unmemorable cast of characters and an unexplored world sadly dragged behind it. So if we take a look at their actual review here at their website here, we see here that their verdict was their pros were weapon triangles fantastic, combat is a taut chess game, which is really cool. Cons where characters are forgettable, which is extremely sad to see because normally Fire Emblem characters are very unforgettable. Returning heroes outshine the new cast, which is not good, and a wider world left largely unexplored, which is sad to see too because I heard that you could actually go around the fields after you're done with them. Let's see how they ended their review here. Again, this is a 50 review. They put Fire Emblem Engage as a sadly missed opportunity to tie together a new cast of characters with the heroes of old. There's a great balance that struck in combat between new characters striking out their own merits, whilst being supported periodically by supremely powerful heroes. And the weapons triangle return is empathetically a triumphant one, successfully making each unit feel valued and vulnerable. All that can't make up for a completely apathetic and forgettable new bunch of characters though, while the wider world of Fire Emblem Engage is largely an unsolved mystery, which is sad to see because the monastery and the world of three houses was a very, very explored world, and it was living and breathing. You felt like you were a part of that continent, which is very sad to see. Okay, last, let's take a look at a middling review. We have a lot of 80s here, a lot of 80s. I think 80 is right smacked out in the middle. So we have PC games. I'm going to try and find one that has merit that I've heard of before. I don't know who that is. Trusted Reviews, RPG site, Nintendo Insider, IGN Portugal, VG247. Okay, I'm familiar with VG247. We might go with that, guys. Yeah, let's go with VG247. See, it's either between them or RPG site, which I've only seen them on Twitter. So let's go with VG247 because they have some good dialogue here. So here's the middle of the road one. In some ways, that focus shift back to SRPG fundamentals feels like a possible course correction after a significant personification of three houses. On the other hand, the game still feels like it strives to marry old-school Fire Emblem with those new ideas. As a fan of older Fire Emblem and strategy games in general, I was thrilled to see the depth of combat and the level to which you can make battling your absolute focus. That's still true even if Engage doesn't quite get the balance and its execution right, in that might put a small subset of three houses lovers off. Yeah, that's me. It's still a tremendously satisfying experience. Mind, it's engaging. Sorry I had to get that in. It's an easy recommendation. So they're praising the battle mechanics here. Again, which is an easy recommendation. If you love the gameplay of Fire Emblem, it's here, it's tried, and it's true. So those are some of the reviews. What do you guys think? Put that down in the comments below. So for me personally, to give you guys my final thoughts, I'm gonna say this. Once I get my hands on the game, I will know more around it. I will have my hand on the game here in a couple of days. But really, what I'm seeing is, if you love the gameplay of Fire Emblem, this is it. But just don't have high hopes for the story. And I think, as you guys see here, I have a Fire Emblem Warriors. I love the three houses. I love characters. I love Byleth. I'm a huge Three Houses fan, like I said earlier at the top of the video. One of my favorite games of all time, and I think the thing that set it apart is the replayability of it. Seeing the differences between, the different houses, right? Doing a Blue Lions run, or a Black Eagles run, or a Church run, or a Golden Deer run. Seeing the different angles to that, seeing the different characters, building out your different houses, building relationships, right? I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the monastery and Garreg Mach and, you know, all the teaching that went around it, but really, you were learning about all your characters, and if you play Three Houses, you probably have a different subset of favorite character versus another player, and that's something that's so unique. With Engage being a one-shot mine kind of game, it seems like the meat and potatoes here, the replayability, is going to be higher difficulties and more map-based, which what I mean by that is you're going to play through normal or hard on your first go, and then maybe you do maddening after that. But then what's after that is just kind of perfecting your map runs, which to some might be fun. To me, that's not how I, you know, really enjoy games. So that's just my personal opinion on it. But now I want to know what you guys think. What did you guys think of all of these reviews? What do you think about the 82 Metacritic down below? What do you think about my opinion on it? And I hope you come back for more Fire Emblem Engage content right here on the channel. I will see you soon. If you have nothing to say, drop us an emoji and don't forget to like before you leave. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.